going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. What's going on? How you
Hey,
doing?
hey, we doing well. I had to make sure I had the bucket. I'm not used to the bucket, so I had to make sure I had the bucket right.
Mm. So okay, so you don't do buckets often, huh?
No, this is actually I want to say it's probably my first bucket hat in what, probably over 10 years.
Yeah. See, I only
Yeah,
have one bucket too, man.
yeah. It's different. I know I cut the hair a couple weeks ago, so it's a different look. We in there though.
Yeah, you got to switch it up sometime. Add a little pepper. You know what I mean?
Exactly, a little paprika,
You know what I'm saying?
for sure.
No, man. But how you feeling tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. It's just been a lot of work, a lot of things going on around the city. I'm happy to be a part of a lot of it, a lot of these things. So, I'm just having a good time, man. Like right now, I think people, you know, I think people will get caught up in what they're doing on their own. And then when you start to see where those things intertwine, it's like, oh man, there's a lot of people that actually are interacting with each other that you wouldn't even know about. So it's pretty
Yeah.
dope.
And actually, we're going to get to that. But first, I wanted to just thank you for joining us. This is actually our first conversation as an interview or whatever. So this is kind of cool. I'm glad that you're on because you are, in my opinion, an interesting person to talk to in the Richmond music/art scene because you not only are an artist yourself and you make your own music and stuff like that, but you are also behind a lot of the visuals that get made from a lot of the Richmond musicians. And so you have to think, about two senses. And so you have to kind of consider Richmond in a different way. And so I wanted to have you on for a while. So I'm glad that you're here.
Anytime.
All right, cool. With that being said, there are so many places that we could kind of start. And we only have so much time tonight. So I want to bounce around to a bunch of it. But let's start with, I guess the first time I became accustomed with your name and your face, it was with you with a camera in your hand. So I want to take us back. You are well known for doing music videos for countless artists, most of the Gritty City roster. But what was the first music video that you worked on, and how did that come about?
All right. So the very first video I worked on was for my boy out in Hampton. He goes by the name of PZ180. At the time, I think he was 15 at the time, but he was friends with, he was my brother's friend. So I used to be the guy that would go to the college parties and stuff, have the little action cam. Like it was really gritty. Like you couldn't really see a lot inside the party, but I was that guy walking around. Yeah. So I had a camera, and they used to see me around, around the neighborhood with it all the time. And one day, he was always freestyling, doing music. And he said, "Hey, you do videos?" And I was like, "Nah, I'll try." And and that's what happened. We went to a few parking lots. We went to I remember specifically went to the AMC 24 parking lot out there, and the police, pulled up on us. That was the first time. Yeah, first video shoot, and police pulled up. So yeah, I got used to that really quick. But yeah, going through that experience, learning, different shots to get and different editing. That was the first one though. That was the thing that set it off, and then I started doing a lot of more videos for them, and it just took off from there.
That's dope. How many would you say you've done thus far?
Countless. Like I can't even think about how many, because there's so many different eras of like music videos that I've been a part of. So that was what I want to say almost 15 years ago when I did that video. So it's like we're talking about 15 years of, music videos from hip hop to R&B to doing commercials. Like we're talking about a wide range of just shooting. And then that entered into, live events. So I couldn't even put a number on it, to be honest.
Wow. That makes sense to me. So I've noticed that when I watch you shoot videos, or when I watch like the behind the scene footage of you shoot videos, and when I watch the videos themselves, I know that you move when you're operating the camera. Like you're a person who moves, you kind of really use your space and your flow with the camera to kind of create that. One, kind of where did that style come from? And then two, what's the craziest kind of movement you've done for a video?
All right. I would say it came from It was learned. So some of it came from that like Chicago like drill style, where and people used to make fun of it. So they would they would get their camera and they would get the camera and they do this. They do this a lot with the camera. So I said, you know what? Let me adopt some of that with actual movement of my feet, and it gives you a different perspective when you're actually moving. Instead of moving the lens, you're actually moving your body to make things happen. It just gives you a different perspective. So a lot of it came from that and just studying other people's, styles and videos. I would say the craziest action that I've done. Um, I've had one where I walked like completely backwards, and I didn't have anybody behind me. We're like on cobbles down at Shockoe Bottom, so that was tough because you got to kind of like keep your footing, make sure you're not falling over anything, because I would have probably died of embarrassment. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That's good. That's interesting because that's not the one that I was thinking of for you. Because I watched you shoot a video on ice skates.
Oh yeah,
For how
that one was
difficult
tough.
was that?
So that one was tough. I hadn't skated in quite a long time, so that was one of the ones where I was like, all right, I tried to skate for a little bit, and I was like, you know what? Like as I thought about it, I was like, maybe I should just go ahead and take these skates off. So we got a couple shots on the skates, and then I had to take them off and get some on feet. But in the ice skating rink, that was for Johnny Six, and that was a crazy video. Crazy video.
Yeah, no, that video was great. They had custom hockey jerseys. Me and Ross Skrilla are opposing hockey coaches, and
Oh yeah, yeah. They got into it on the ice too. We're not gonna tell you who won. You got to go watch
yeah,
the video for that.
chaos ensued. um, cool. Well, awesome, man. I wanted to switch kind of gears real quick because again, there's so much to talk about. How did you get tapped into URL TV and the whole kind of battle rap scene? Like, what came first? How did you get there?
All right. So what a lot of people may not know because it's almost like a different world to me now. But I actually started off battle rapping. So when I was in Hampton, which is where I was born and raised, when I was there, and I started off with music, it was just battle rap, listening to music and battle rap. So I didn't record any of my own music at the time. When I came out here to Richmond, that's when I started, tapping into some of the battle scenes here. And one of the battle scenes that I tapped into was called Battleground Virginia out in Petersburg. And I tried to go to an event and it didn't work out. And they actually tried to move it down to Shockoe Bottom. And long story short, with venues, they saw a lot of people, saw a way to get some money. Things didn't quite work out, had to do the battle outside, and they needed a host. So at that time, they said, hey, BC, he raps, like, let's have him host. So I hosted one of the battles. They liked how I did my hosting, and it started from there. So I just started becoming their regular host at that point. From there, I met a lot of different battle rappers, and those battle rappers, as they were progressing through their career, I started picking up the camera more. And as I picked up the camera more, there was a new league that came out called League of Champions here in Richmond. And I said, oh, I get to host out in Petersburg, and then I can film here in Richmond. So I got the best of both worlds. And again, as those other guys started to blossom in their careers, I was the go-to person because I understood the culture of battle rap. And, it came to making some promo videos for them. They ended up getting tapped in with URL, and I had to shoot promos for them. And then that promo came in, and they said, hold up, who shot that? Where did that come from? And they said, oh, I only shoot promos with this guy here. So then I got brought in that way. I did some trial runs, shot a couple events with them, and then now, the rest is history.
Word. Yo, a lot of people at home, I come from a TV kind of background, and you're from behind a camera, but a lot of people don't have this background. So I kind of want to ask this for them. When you are, filming a battle, right, a rap battle, what are the things that you're having to think about and prepare for as a videographer / production manager, whatever your title is for all of that? Like, what are the things that you're looking for, the shots that you might get, and the pitfalls that you're watching out for?
Yeah, I would say some of the things I'm looking out for are, for one, spacing. So I'm looking at how much space they have to perform. Depending on the type of stage that we're working with, sometimes I may want it very claustrophobic and have people, almost battling like they're in a closet, right? And then other times, I may want them to utilize a bigger area. So that's one thing I'm looking at. The other thing I'm looking at are, the lights. How are the lights going to be positioned? Do I want it to be brighter? Do I want it to have a more dark, grungy feel? So that's another thing I'm looking at. I'm also looking at, the motion of the person. So that's more of an in-camera setting. So, if you're going from like 24 frames per second to something higher like 60 frames, it changes how their hands and things move and how it looks to a person. It's almost the same as describing the difference between watching a movie versus watching like an NFL game. And you can see the difference. So little in-camera things like that. So that's another thing I'm looking out for. And I'm also looking out for the other people that are in the room, because while we're trying to get things that are going to look great on camera, it's also about the experience for the people that are there live. So we want to give them a good experience live to be able to actually be involved, but not make it so that it's so intrusive that it cuts away from the experience that they'll see when they get home when they watch it back.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't think about is like, when you do have a live audience there, you can't just like put up a curtain and block them off. Like you really have to make sure that they're having a good time, because your video kind of depends on the ambiance of that sound, of their crowd interaction and all of that.
Exactly.
Um, how do you mic a battle rap? Are you a live mic person? Are you a boom mic person? Like what's your strategy?
So I actually like both. It depends on what kind of situation I'm in. If there's a lot of people that are going to be around the area, I like to go ahead and do the live mic, and clip that onto them so that way they're heard, as clearly as possible. But if it's more of a situation where it's going to be, like I said, like that claustrophobic style, I know that the sound can only go but so far, and when you're doing that boom mic, you're not just getting the people that are rapping. You're getting all of that ambiance in the room. You're getting a little bit more of that feel from the sounds of the room. The people, the ooh, the ahs. You're getting a little bit more of that. Whereas that lavalier mic is going to be more isolated to their voice. So there's also times where I'll do both. So I'll get both the live and I'll do the boom, just so I can have something to kind of play off of when I'm doing my edit.
The thing about editing is the more options you have, the better off you are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's for sure. Dope. Well, thank you, because I've been curious about that. I mean, I've been kind of watching you do some of them, but it's better to learn the lesson the hard way and then hear it from that person. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, and it's right now, like there's so many different ways to film. Some people are using like the shotgun mics on top of their camera still, and it's just a different sound. So I tell people all the time, it's no wrong way of how to do it. It's just what you prefer. Sometimes that shotgun mic on top of the camera, it may be picking up too much room and not enough of the battler, so it's hard to hear them. But it's not necessarily wrong. You may just have the wrong lens. You may need to just be a little bit closer to the action. So it's more decisions that go into it when you're figuring out what audio choice you want to go with.
Yeah. It seems like an easy thing. Point and shoot, right?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think, and then they get it back and it looks like not what they
Yeah.
desired. I'll say that.
Shout outs to you for doing what you do. But some of the other battle scenes that you're with, and not just battle scenes, but I mean, you're always kind of involved with Producers Lounge, with Southpaw Battle Coalition. I see you at HearRVA Rap Elite events. Like you are tapped into the Richmond hip hop scene. Kind of talk about what it's like to be a part of, affiliated with, working with like all of these different groups and associations, and we can widen it out to groups like Gritty City and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's an honor really for them to even, you know, want to work with me, right? So it's one thing to have these different accolades and be traveling and doing work, but if you don't get any work when you get home, it's like, what? How do they really feel about you at that point, right? So I do a lot of stuff away from Richmond, but then when I come back, that love is always there. So being able to work with the Producers Lounge. They actually have some episodes that are dropping right now. Amazing, amazing productions. And not only that, but they're highlighting people from other areas and having them come to Richmond. And that's just feeding that scene of music all around. So I like to think about them because they're highlighting the next people that can show up at Rap Elite, right? So with Rap Elite, you know, they're starting to do bring your own beats, you know, and that means you can hear any of those people that you may have saw at the Producers Lounge over in Rap Elite. So Rap Elite then goes with Southpaw Battle Coalition. They just had the Clash of the Multiverse, which was crazy. So you have all of these things that are intertwining, and it feels like these people are like the creme de la creme of Richmond, even if it's just the people that are attending. So you have like Ant the Symbol, for example. He was the coach. You were a coach, right? Or I should say a GM,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like you all are seeing all of these different people that you may not have heard before, and you're like, wait a minute, now let me tap into what they're doing musically. Let me tap into what they have going on. And it just broadens the perspective of what you feel about music and interaction around the city, because it's just more than just one style, and it's not just one outlet. You have the Southpaw Battle Coalition, which is rapping without beats. You have Rap Elite, which is rapping over beat. And then you have the Producers Lounge, which is just camaraderie over instrumental. Like, it's just a little bit of everything. It's fire.
Yeah. No, it's a really cool community to be in. It definitely helps, kind of the energy helps feed each other. It's really dope. You know, you've been around, you've seen a lot of people rap. Is there a person or a verse that stood out to you as like, this was the bar that I've seen, like this was the best thing that I've seen somebody do?
Oh man, that's a tough one. That is a really tough one. I have to say one person that always sticks out to me every time he performs it. Nicholas F. Walls of Jericho. Every single time. I love it. I love it. I love it. Every time. Like I have to be around it. You know what I mean? Look, so my man Arctic Freeze is in the chat right now. Arctic Freeze, he had a joint called Money Train, right? And when I tell you, like we were at, I don't know if any people might not remember, but you had Strange Matter, and you also had the alley, not the alley, what was it called?
Alley
It
Cat?
used to be called Alley Cats. Yeah, but it was a different name, Kingdom. So when I tell you, every time he did this song, it was like everybody pulled up. People at the bar getting drinks. Excuse me, let me go to the. Yeah, all aboard the money train. Yeah, so it's so many of those different moments. I can keep going, like Freeze. You got Black Lit. You know what I'm saying? Can I Get a Deal? Era was crazy. You got Radio B with the whole like. It's so many different like crazy moments that people had on stage where I'm just like, man, like this is like these are people that are right here that I can talk to right now. And like maybe like a year or so from now, they're gonna be like selling out concerts somewhere. Like, and it's like I know that person. It's so crazy to me. But yeah, so many of those artists, man. I can just go down the list. Like Michael Millions, crazy. Illa Styles, crazy. You know, my fallen brother, the Honorable Sleaze, crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's just so many people that have touched stages around here. Even OG Illa, like people that probably don't remember his run when he was going crazy on stage. Like it's so many. Like and I could just go on and on. And I think it's because even though I'm not from Richmond, I have such a love for Richmond and everything that is brought to the table because of all of these different moments. Seeing the ebb and flow of venues not wanting to mess with hip hop, and now they're kind of coming back around to then COVID hitting, and then now trying to build back up to RVA Boombox coming out and really trying to make a market for those niche. It's so much, man, and I get passionate when I get a moment to speak about all of those pioneers and people that came up. Like your Octavian X's and Fair. You know what I mean? Like I just get real. I feel real good about where we've come as a city when it comes to Richmond. and I wasn't even born here. Like they embraced me as that, you know?
Yeah, and I'm not from here either, so I appreciate the welcome from everybody else.
Yeah, cool.
What when you decide to get up on stage and rap for either, you know, a cipher or whatever, a battle, where does that like motivation comes? What has to happen in your brain or in your kind of surroundings that makes you go, it's time for me to get out here again?
Ah, man, that's a good question. I would say, for me, it's it's always not wanting to disappoint other people. So it's like people have an expectation of like what I do, and from what I've heard, I'm pretty good at it. You know, so so my main thing is, you know, let me go and do what I do, right? And as I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm trying to make sure that I have a little bit for everybody that's in that room. So when I make my set or I'm setting things up, it's like, you know what, I want to have maybe a line here. It maybe just be one line. I want that one line to hit that person over in the far right corner. And then I want these next two lines to hit these people right here on the front row. And then I want the beat for this one right here to hit that person over there at the bar on the left. So it's like I think about those things, and I being realistic, I know maybe I'm not the cup of tea for everybody, but you should like something. When I get off that stage, you should have liked something that I've done. Something.
Yeah. You might like that I pronounced my words or projected my words or that I, you know, but something. No, that's a good way to look at it. Speaking of you rapping, can you talk about how your feature verse on Anthasymbol's new album, Virginia Gentleman, came about and kind of like the story behind that?
Oh man. All right. So for that one, that was a track that Ant had already produced. He had it ready. And then he sent me this the track with Ben FM's verse already on it. And he's like, man, like we were trying to figure out like where to go with this, and we felt like you would be a good addition to that song. So I listened to it, and I was like, yo, I really like the approach that Ben FM took on that one. You know, it's like everybody telling me I gotta let it go, but I'm not ready to do that. Like, you know, so when I wrote my verse, it was like, you know, it's kind of reflection on how people treat me and like where I'm trying to go mentally in my life. So if you go back and listen to that verse, you know, it's like, you know, I'm putting myself first. I know my self worth. You know, people will want to take real estate in your mind. You know what I mean? And sometimes you like, yo, like I can't let them stay there, but it does hurt my feelings like when they're trying to affect me. So like when you listen to the verse, those were the kind of places that I tapped into, and it just kind of melded perfectly with the message that Ben FM had already laid down. And when I sent it back to Ant, he was like, "Oh man, like this is perfect right here." So then listening to the whole project, I'm like, okay, I see where everything fit in. Like our verse fit with all of these other amazing tracks on this project, and I'm really, really thankful that he allowed me to, you know, that he even sent it over to me. So I appreciate that, Ed. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no, yeah, I always appreciate the Ant alley oop. And listen, I'm gonna say this, and I hope you know that I don't mean it with any disrespect, but as far as like from what I can tell, like you're not a rapper that's out here all the time, right?
Right.
So how does it feel to be included on a project like that where it is the best of the best of the best of the best in the city? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that feel like?
Man, it feels good. It really does, because he could have called anybody to jump on that track. You know, he could have had that song not be on the project. You know, my phone, I get calls for features, but because I'm behind the camera a lot and I'm always on the go. You know, sometimes those features don't pan out. So it's just really an honor, you know, for people to still recognize that like I'm still here. I still do the music, and I like to rap. I just like to rap. You know, I may not do it all the time, but it's something that I do enjoy. I like putting words together, and like I said, I think there's people out there that say I'm pretty good at it. You know, maybe they would like me to do more. I think I have some things that I've recorded. They haven't seen the light of day yet, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I'm here for it.
Appreciate that.
No problem. before we get out of here, because I don't want to run this all night, everybody's got stuff to do. You had brought up something that you kind of wanted to talk about it, and honestly, it's one of the things that I like watching. You know, because we see as observers of the Richmond music community, hip hop community, we see how people package their music and things, and just from a non-music perspective, people are getting very creative with their packaging. I don't know if you've seen some of the plug videos on Twitter, but them joints coming in like PlayStation containers and shit. So we cannot be less creative than the plug, is what I'm saying, as musicians. And so, like, when we find ways and things like streaming services aren't paying out as much as they should be, you know, are there ways that you've seen that people are pivoting to try to make ends meet a little better, or to actually to benefit them in a more effective way?
Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot more people go back to the, I guess you would call it DIY approach. So I'm seeing a lot more. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more people pop up with, you know, physical CDs. The vinyls are taking off again. I'm seeing a lot of people with vinyls. I'm seeing people coming out with merch. I'm seeing people taking advantage of QR codes and selling the QR codes and then having you download it that way. New websites popping up, like Ant's Project, for example. Right now, it's not on streaming services. You have to go and purchase that right now. Like, you have to go and spend your money, support the art, and then it'll come on streaming services later. Same thing for Black Lick's newest project. You had to go and buy that first and then stream it later. You got bundles. People are doing bundles with their merch, shirts and stickers with the project. And it's like things are more tangible now. I feel like there was a surge of people that were just uploading online, and when I say uploading online, I mean the streaming services, and they're just uploading like crazy to streaming services, and they're wondering like, oh, I'm not getting any exposure, I'm not getting anywhere, so they feel like failures, but they're putting out amazing projects. So it's like once they switched the model, then all of those people that were listening to their projects, they were now supporting them. They were paying that $5 for the project, that $10 for the project, that $15 for the shirt. And then they're starting to take that money and put it back into their music. So I like to look at it, you know, I try to look at who's doing what when it comes to how they're marketing that way, because the streaming model is not for everybody. So I look at streaming as more of the exposure method. Like, yeah, if you want to get exposure and get a lot of people just listen quick, okay, go to streaming. But if you want those like die-hard core fans, they're going to purchase. They're going to pull out their wallet and spend a little bit with you, because they know that that money that they're putting in your pocket isn't going to stay in your pocket. It's going to go back into the production. It's going to go back into the product that you're trying to get back to them. So it's a cycle.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, you know, miss out on that.
No, I agree. And I mean, thinking from the fan perspective, like I like to have something of the artist that like I own, like whether it be like an album, a CD, a tape. It's just like, yo, that's something that I can point to and say like, hey, I do support this person. So as an artist, you may not have the budget to do a vinyl run of $2,000 or $3,000. You may not have the budget to do a CD run of $250 or something like that. But you may have $60 or $50 to do a really nice FedEx print job. Yep. And do like the size of a 45 album cover, and on the back side is a QR code, and it's got your liner notes on the inside. And this is an example I've seen from Miss Jalen Brown, who had like a really nice package put together, but there was no music, but there was a digital download, but you had a poster, and it was like, this was well thought out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I've also seen what people are starting to do, like also like the Kickstarter method. So it's like, hey, like I have this project, I'm going to give you a sample of what that project sounds like. I'm going to give you like a song or two. And then that song, you know, the people are feeling it like, oh man, like I want more of that. Okay, if you want more of that, support the project. And what I'm going to do is, depending on the amount that you support on that project, I'm going to have a tier list of what I'm giving back to you. So this smaller tier right here, I might give you just the music. You go to the next tier, I might give you the music and a t-shirt. You go to the next tier, I'm going to give you exclusive view of the first 3 music videos with the T-shirt, and I'm gonna sign the CD. You know what I mean? Like it's and those things are, to me, I feel like that's what makes community. That's what makes people really want to come back and like and want to be a part of everything that you're doing. Um, another dope thing was I can't remember how many years ago it was, but Radio B, when thumb drives were big, he had his entire catalog that he was selling on thumb drives, and you could go and you can get the thumb drive, put it in your computer, you have all his music, and anytime you saw him after that, because you supported that thumb drive, if there were any projects that you were missing from him, he would upload the new project for you on your thumb drive and send you on your way with it. So it's like it's just amazing different ways that you can go about building your fan base that doesn't necessarily go to Tidal, it doesn't necessarily go to Apple Music or Spotify. And I think a lot of people may be doing themselves a disservice by putting their music immediately on those platforms, when there are people right now that would gladly take out a couple of dollars out of their pocket to support their art. Because we all know, well, we may not all know, but a lot of people know it takes a long time to make $5 on Spotify. It takes a long time to make $10 on Apple Music. So, it's all perspective.
No, for sure. It takes a long time, and that goes to, I've heard this from many artists, but I always think about when Sneeze said it on liner notes. But he's like, look, if you had 1,000 fans and those fans financially supported projects, and you could, if you could count on $40 from those fans in a year, that's a lot of money. And so it's like, can you sell somebody? Can you make one good project, a physical project that they buy, and a piece of merch? Well, that's almost $40. You know what I mean? And like when you try to break down the math like that, it doesn't seem impossible to make a little bit of money doing music. It seems impossible when you tell me I got to get 14 million streams before I see it.
Right. And
you know what I mean?
There's tons of artists that people have probably never heard of, and they're making a living off of music using methods like this. For a long time, it was like people were like, Russ, who's Russ? For a long time, right? And it's like, he had a method where people could support what he was doing. Yeah, he was releasing, the one track, every week, but then he also had a way for people to support him. And that's the other thing. People will put out music and then will have no merch, they'll have no videos, they'll have no way for you to financially support them, even if you wanted to. So that's the other half of it. Like, just give me something to come back to. If you're not going to sell me the music, give me something else.
Yeah. Listen, here's a tip for all the artists. The music that goes out is supposed to be like the edge of the funnel that brings people closer into giving you money. Like you're trying to catch their attention, and then they get sent to your website or your Instagram that then sends them to your website that also has a store on it that can buy your stuff. That's the point. So if you just have stuff out there to catch attention and nothing underneath of it, you are masturbating, basically.
Exactly. You're doing it to yourself. That's right. That's a fact. That's a fact.
That might have been the smartest or dumbest thing I've ever said on here.
But no, that's the true fact, man. I hope that all of the creatives that are out there, anybody that looks at what they call the scene, and they're like, man, I feel like they feel like it's hopeless. They feel like there's nothing to do. I'm like, don't give up. Go out there and find people. Like, you can't just sit around and think that everybody's going to come to you. There was an interview on My Expert Opinion, and I think it was 38 Special. No, was it 38 Special? Let me not butcher who it was. Mm-hmm. But the person said, all of these people think that I owe them something because they can rap well. And that's it. It's like, okay, you can rap well. There's a lot of people that can rap well. What else can you do? Like, are you a likable person? Like, are you going to be able to hold a good conversation with me? Can you
show up on time?
Yeah, like, is there anything else? Yeah, there's a lot of people that can rap well.
Yeah.
But what else? I know so many people that can rap and they never thought about, putting one of their bars on a shirt. And the bar might be one of the greatest bars I've ever heard. And I'm like, yo, like, that would be an amazing shirt. And they just never do it. It's like, yeah, you could probably sell like 100 of these shirts right now.
Well, see, that's why I'm glad people tuned in tonight to check out this conversation, to hear beautiful gems. Like, we dropped like 15 gems in the last 5 minutes.
Hey.
So I hope somebody was taking notes, man. BC, thank you for joining me tonight to talk about. We didn't even get to everything that you do, but we got to touch on a lot of it. So we'll definitely have to do another one of these at some point to kind of catch up, to kind of circle back and all of that. But thank you again. Is there anything you wanted to shout out that you got coming up, or ways that people can contact you or be in touch with you?
Oh man, yo, so if anybody wants to get in contact with me, the same thing you see here, BC Music First, BCMusic1st's. It's like that on all platforms. So Facebook, Twitter, or X if you're calling it that. Instagram, of course. My email address, bcmusicfirst@gmail.com. Like, you can reach me for any of those things, whether you want to do a feature, whether you want to inquire about some video work. You know, I'm trying to get back into my photo bag, so if you need some photos, you know, but the main thing is I'm all about building, you know, and building is one of the things that you can't take for granted, because you never know where a person's going to be. That person that may only have 5 to 10 followers today may have 10 to 15,000 tomorrow. Yeah. So you never know who you're going to meet. You got to just treat people kindly, you know. So I'm always open to meeting new people.
That's beautiful. Yo, are you gonna go to the Ants RVA pop out on Sunday at the RVA Boombox?
I'm gonna try to. I got the kiddos, but I'm definitely gonna try to. I'm holding down daddy duty. I'm gonna have all 3 of them. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to.
No, understand. I definitely get it. Luckily, it is my night to get out, so I will be there. But yo, man, thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna chop this up. It'll be on YouTube in a day or two.
Hey, for sure, man. Hey, shout out to you, Illiterate, and appreciate HearRVA, because, you know, if you're not tapped in, I don't know what you're listening to. You got to hear RVA. So you got to come back here.
That's right. That's right. Somebody knew exactly what I was talking about, because there's the 2 different hears. There's here and here, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm glad people can read and know what's going down.
Well, look, wherever it is, I hope that they hear it here.
Boom. See, that's why we need you. Nah, man, but have a good evening.
Appreciate it. Y'all take it easy.
Yeah, man.